Watch me go from this to this. And I know it may not, or it may look like it's kind of done. It's not even remotely close at all. But yeah. All right, so this is what we got going on. I'm gonna cut pretty much all that out. All that's getting cut out. All that's getting cut out. We're gonna weld in a good brace. Give us the room to kind of drop the motor down just a little bit more. And then hopefully by the end of the day today I'll have the oil pan so you can kind of measure up and see where that's gonna go. Normally they're back there. They got a massive sump, but the steering's all in the way, so I'm gonna see if I can flip it and have it up here. But I guess time will tell with that one. So, but yeah. Overall, though, it's probably gonna stick out the hood a little bit. We'll have to cut that hood open, but you know, it'll just add to the monstrosity that this thing's going to become. Got that all kind of did up. Sides kind of turned out like crap, but whatever, who cares. But yeah, so basically got to do the same thing on the other side. Just a piece of that channel and welded a piece on top of it and kind of boxed her in. Firmly grasp it. Anyways, yeah, just got to do the same thing on the other side. Yeah, so you know what, if you think you'd learn the first time about touching something hot, and then you do it again, and then you do it again, and then you do it again, and it's real great. Yeah, love it. Anyways, yeah, so got those made up. Welds didn't turn out the best, but they'll serve their purpose. Yeah, so I got that crossbar in. Helps sturdy the old girl up again. And get that drop too. So yeah, that should be perfect, because we're about 1 inch away from the steering linkage, and then that bar too, we'll box it in once the car, like get the car on the rack, but that won't be probably for a little while. But anyways, yeah, so we can box that in. Yeah, let's put this thing back in and see how she fits up. Pretty soon we'll be starting on some motor mounts. Alright, good morning, dog. Here's what we got going on. I ordered some S10 350 swap block mounts things from Speedway, basically for the bushings and the pass-throughs and some of the mount stuff, but and it was cheaper than just making some shit up. But I'm not going to use those. We're going to use these. It's part of the kit. And so what I'm going to do is, I got that plate for the block. We're going to take this, flip it, which it's already flipped. We're going to pass that grommet through, and then we're going to mark where we need that guy. We're going to drill a hole, which we can get our finger on the inside of it, but I'm thinking about either welding the nut or one of the two. And then what we'll do is we'll just weld that washer straight to it. I'll clean all that crap off of there. Maybe I'll even notch it out, kind of get the washer a little further inside. So, but that will definitely serve its purpose. And that way it's resting on something versus all of the force being put up or over or center, you know. That way that motor's just resting right down on top of that thing. It'll be nice and strong. Should be, at least, or kind of, that's the theory. But yeah, and ignore the ugly oil pan. We're gonna real clean that up. So, but yeah, I'm gonna get these punched out, and then I'll measure off, weld that puppy straight to that girl. Wow, that actually lined up pretty quick. It was just off an eyeball. But yeah, I'll weld that thing up to it. Make sure she's nice and level, and then bolt her on. Of course, like I said, I'm going to cut about 1.5 inches off of that, so that way we can get a little bit of space. And yeah, we'll burn her in. I don't know if I'm going to take the TIG welder out for that one. I might, but yeah. So that's that. I'm going to make it happen. I'm going to try to, at least. You're a good boy. That's what we got going on. I'm gonna weld that all up, bolt her back on. We're gonna clean that mount up a little bit more, maybe even do a little bit of bracing on the bottom there, but yeah, this is what we got going on so far. So do the one side, measured it, made sure it was plumb on both ends. This side's gonna be a little bit of a chore, and we are kicked off over to the right side of the car a little bit, which is normal. So yeah, the only thing I'm slightly worried about is how that big old starter is gonna fit in between there, but I guess we'll see. But we're getting there. It's welding, cutting, welding, cutting, welding and cutting and welding and more cutting. So, but hey, that's part of the game. We're gonna make it happen. Yeah. All right. Mounts are all welded up. That's all welded up. Hopefully it's cool. I'm not gonna touch it. Not touching that. Still burned and hot. Very hot. Don't touch. Anyways, yeah, I'm gonna pop that on. I'm gonna put a bolt through her. Kind of bolt them up. Make sure she's nice and even on both ends again. And then get started on this side. So, but yeah, so far so good though. She's getting there. I'm gonna bolt them on. Between that and bolts to that. Oh, here it is. I'm blind. Yeah. So that's gonna sit on there like that. It's probably still hot. That's good for it. Yeah. So I'm gonna pop that on real quick and then yeah, see what we got. All right, that's installed. Not fully, but roughly. I'm gonna put the bolt on, snug her down, and that way I can kind of mess with the angle a little bit on both sides. Yeah, so this side's probably gonna be a little bit of a chore, but it won't be too big of a deal. Pretty straightforward for the most part, but yeah. All right, so here's what we got going on today. I'm gonna yank the fan off. AC compressor's coming off. I'm gonna leave a good majority of this stuff just on the engine, and some of the harness is gonna get yoinked. You know, I might do a grid heater delete on it. You know, stuff like the fuel heater and all that other stuff is probably not really gonna need. A little bit of the trans wiring too. This is all the fourth gear and lockup solenoid. So, because it's a mechanically driven transmission until it gets into overdrive. So that, originally in the truck, something was going on either with the throttle position sensor or something along those lines, and it would not shift into overdrive when it got hot. So I just did that and I ran it on switches to just make sure the trans was fine, and it was. So I left it. But yeah, so I'm gonna yank off some lines and pull off some things and kind of strip the stuff off that I don't really need. And yeah, and I got a wiring diagram for the shut-off solenoid, or the shutdown solenoid, or whatever they're called. So yeah, I'm just gonna rip some things off that I don't need, and I'm probably gonna modify the harness that's currently on it a little bit for the things that I do need. I don't know how I'm gonna run a tach just quite yet. I know it's got an engine speed sensor on the front, and might try and figure out a way that I could work the tach off that way. If not, then whatever. But honestly, I think to just save some time, I'm probably gonna use a lot of this wiring just from the truck, because you know it's already good and it's OE, and that's now making a mess. Cool, great, love it. Yep, let's keep that up. Perfect. Love making a mess. So yeah, that's the goal. And the truck's sitting out there on the bed. Yep. So that's what I'm gonna try and do today. Maybe even get it in the car. I don't know yet. We'll see. All right, it's stripped. Kinda. I mean, still got a couple other things I gotta do, but no fan clutch. Ditch the AC. I think there's a non-air conditioning belt that you can route with these things. I don't know if the tensioner potentially needs to get changed. I don't see why it would, but yeah, I should probably actually do some research on that and see. But so the alternator's got a regulator on it, it looks like. I would love to use the OE wiring, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut all the loom back and try to get to a really good point where I could use either the signal wire and the power wire for it. So I'm just gonna yank all the stuff out that I don't need, and then that way I could keep some of the sheathing, save a little bit of money there, and kind of just rewire it. I honestly don't even know where the battery is going to go in this car. I don't know if I'm going to put it in the trunk or where it's going to go, but because it went there, and yeah, I got to fix that monstrosity that somebody did, but that won't be too big of a deal. So, but yeah, I'm not really quite sure where the battery is going to go quite yet, but I'll figure it out. I'd like to have a lot of just engine room, that way you can just focus on this beautiful situation here. So yeah, so I'm going to strip all that down, and yeah, we'll go from there. I cut some more stuff out. I made this pan. I don't know if I'm going to have to use it or not. I cut the steering dampener off of the drag link because I think that if I get a little bit of space, I could probably use the factory pan, not have to mess with it, because that would be mint. And then worst comes to worst, I can remount or relocate the steering dampener. That's really not a big deal. And then God forbid, if I absolutely need a little bit of extra more room, what I could probably do is I can make my own drag link and use offset heim joints like I kind of did with my Jeep to kind of give us a little bit more space. That way we can bring it in this way a little bit. It's not going to mess with the geometry of the steering at all, is what I would think. But yeah, so because the drag link's really not too big of a deal. The tie rods, that might change a little bit, but honestly, the pivot point's at that gearbox, and so as long as the overall distance stays the same and it just gets moved a little bit more forward, probably about where my finger's at, I mean, I would think that will probably be good. So, but I guess we'll find out. I'm gonna hook this thing up and we're gonna dump it in there and we're gonna see what happens. I already got the mounts popped on. I got that one out because that's where the ground's gonna go. Kind of the same factory stop or style location. So this mount's on though. Same thing over here. I don't know if I'm gonna run a dual battery system in this thing. Batteries are kind of I'm not really quite sure on how to go about that yet, but we're gonna see. Oh, I cut the cross member here, and what I'm gonna do, instead of welding it back on, I'm gonna clean all this up real nice, and I'm gonna make a saddle to have them removable, so that way it still keeps the rigidity in the front of the car, and you know, you can pull it off, God forbid, if you ever need to, or whatever the case is. I think that's probably gonna be okay. I know this engine is gonna sit fairly tall in the front, so we will we'll find out. So I'm not entirely sure what everybody wants to see. I don't know if, you know, I should be posting swinging a hammer and cutting things and smacking stuff and swearing and getting ticked off and then saying WTF, why won't this fit, or why won't that work, or watch me cut this drive shaft out, or you know. So I'm not sure. If you guys want to see that types of stuff, comment, because I'll do it. I know this is kind of a first video. It's a little rough, and I'm just posting shorts to see if it'll actually get traction. And this is not the only car that I will be putting together either. I mean, I got that types of stuff too. So, but that's a customer's car. But anyways, but yeah, so, but this may look like it's very close. It's not. I've got mounting issues. I've got firewall touches. I've got a transmission under the car that needs to be slightly persuaded under there. I might need to hit it with a hammer a couple of times too. So, but yeah, so that's the OG block that's sitting there. But shop's just a freaking absolute disaster. Yeah, so if you guys want to see more of the car and more cutting and more smacking and more hitting and temper tantrums and WTFs, then let me know and I will gladly do more if you want me to. If not, then I'll just keep posting the little stuff and eventually you'll see this car running and driving. So, but yeah, that's that. I guess we'll see where it goes. But for the night, I am in sleepy pants now. I am done for the day. I took a shower. I'm feeling good. I want to drink some beer, and we're gonna edit some videos. But as of right now, considering the work that I have for the rest of this week, I need to get going on customer cars following Monday, and then maybe within the next few days here, I'll get the engine pulled back out of this thing. Might even put it on the rack if I have the space, and massage the inside of this trans tunnel, because I'm gonna see if I can flip my flash on. As you can see, there's absolutely no room, and the trans is at its lowest point. It can go a lot higher than that, but And same with the oil pan too. I'm gonna have to figure out something there. I know they make different types of pans for these engines, but yeah, so that's where I'm at. But yeah, so let me know if you guys want to see more smacking and banging and booping and kicking and all that crap. Let me know and we'll go from there. But thanks to whoever's watching, I suppose. I said I probably should have started documenting a lot of stuff sooner, as everybody tells me, but why not start with a Cummins swapped S-Class W126 Mercedes? So this is gonna be a pretty sweet car when it's done. But yeah, so thanks.